Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today. Marty Winkle and I pulling a rabbit out of a hat as we had a guest scheduled, and due to unforeseen circumstances, they can't make it today. So we whipped another program together, but it's a good one. We're going to talk about this. On my green screen here is an Atlas rocket doing a top secret thing in December 1958. It involved one of our lovely volunteers, 92-year-old Murphy Wardman, who's told this story before. It also involves former launch director of the shuttle, Mr. Jim Harrington. And it's the story of SCORE. All right. And we talk about it in our, this is a plaque we have, and I see that's morayed out there. That's a plaque we have in our Cape Canaveral gallery that celebrates this mission that was very top secret. Marty, I don't have the image on my preview screen here in front of me, but on December 18th, 1958, at 6 in the evening, Atlas 10B was launched from Complex 11 at Cape Canaveral, Florida, on the Atlantic Missile Range. It was the first successful satellite launching by the Air Force and was the first case in which a satellite was steered into orbit by using a command guidance system. And there's a whole lot more that went on, including a Christmas message from President Eisenhower that was an amazing accomplishment for the time. So we're going to talk about that. Uh, Marty, we got anyone that wants to have any questions about today's show, shoot it out there.
Yeah.
And can you put the program over in front of me on the screen in front of me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Here, thank you. All right, we're going to have some of you are going to have some fun Thursday at a luncheon of the National Space Society, and the National Space Society is having a luncheon with the Astronaut Scholar Memorial Foundation. Hush my mouth, the Memorial Foundation. And this is promoting behind me here the National Space Society Space Forum Thursday. You can go to our Facebook page. We'll have a link to that later today. We put it up yesterday, where you can hear a wonderful talk. I'm looking here who's doing that talk about the.
Chris Ferguson.
No, Ken Ferguson's doing the luncheon. Yes, astronaut Ken Ferguson will be at the luncheon. Thursday, I'm talking about the Space Forum
Oh, okay.
that a Chicago Space Society person, I forget his name, don't have it in front of me, is going to talk about the top things of 2023. I thought I had that handy here. So go look at that on Facebook. We're happy to partner with the National Space Society, who will be having this luncheon, like Marty reminded me, with
Chris Fer-
astronaut Chris Ferguson on there. Larry Boyle is going to talk about Space Year in Review tomorrow at, I think it starts at 9 o'clock Chicago, Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Chicago. We'll have that on there. Larry Boyle has done this since 1979. I'll be watching it in between the NFL football game, I guess, on there. He's got Jim Plexico helping him with that, who is a digital artist. So we're going to take that top items of 2023 and share that with you after they do it on Zoom tomorrow. Well, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about launching a rocket in this room. We are so proud of our Cape Canaveral gallery. Many of you have been inside of it. It is truly, we think, the largest collection of Cape Canaveral equipment used in Launch Pad 11, 14, 19, and 36. A lot of it from 36 that was the main launch pad for Atlas, which is at the very tip of the Cape Canaveral Peninsula there by the famous lighthouse. So, but I'm going to get this story here from Murphy Wardman. There's Murphy a couple years ago. Yep, he's a hoorah Marine, Marty, just like you. You know that. Murphy's 92. He was in the museum a couple weeks ago, and I owe him a phone call. As this is a program usually I do every year, and because of circumstances with our guest today, we pulled this rabbit out of our hat. Project SCORE SCORE, Signal Communications Orbit Relay Equipment, the world's first communication satellite, launched this week in 1958. And it relayed a Christmas message from President Eisenhower to the world that was a secret, a top secret. And what was secret about it? Well, a lot of people didn't know about it. And I've got Murphy's story here to talk about it. And let me set it up here with the Atlas rocket there. And out at pad 36, here it is in orbit. How many feet tall does that say there, Marty? I think it's 180 feet.
It's like 900.
900 inches. Incredibly, that does say 900 feet. Wow, that's really big compared to your 365-foot Saturn V. It's 900 inches, Marty, and you're going to do the math for me that. And I showed that to Murphy one time when I was visiting him. He was in convalescent from COVID, I believe, and I go, 900 inches is what they marked there, Murphy. And he just said, that's the way it is.
75.
75 feet, okay. 75 feet by about 12 feet in diameter, maybe 10. And it had the 3 engines, the sustainer engines on the outside actually dropped off after it got up to 20 miles, just like the solid rocket boosters do on a lot of missions to give them extra boost. Then the middle rocket is called a sustainer rocket. Thus, the Atlas rocket was given at the aft end the nickname the boat tail, because it reminded a lot of these boaters that were space workers of the rear end of their boats. Well, here is Eisenhower, President Dwight David Eisenhower, who was the president right before President Kennedy. He, of course, was an older gentleman in his 60s, and Kennedy, the youngest president, at age 42, I believe. That was quite a generation gap. A lot of cool stories about that during the transition. Of course, Eisenhower's a Republican and Kennedy a Democrat, but they both were together on space was the new frontier. Here, Eisenhower's with Hugh Dryden on the left and Keith Glennon, NASA's first administrator, on the right. And this was something about the SCORE project at the end of it. He's got in his hands some certificates, maybe this very same operations that was signed by people there. Let me bring that up there. It's more aim because it is a little bluish behind there. And you've got Mr. Harrington right there. We've had him talk about this. And I'm going to replay that of Mr. Harrington's talk during the Christmas New Year's week, that we will be taking a sabbatical from Stay Curious between Christmas and New Year's. And our last show will be on the 22nd. Is that the Friday, Marty? And we'll be back to you January 3rd. So we all need a break and recharge, but we will be putting some reruns for better. Everybody loves reruns. We'll be rerunning some of our favorite astronaut shows and this one with Murphy about this mission. Well, here's SCORE again. Some of the elements of it that were secret part of it. There is the actual Atlas rocket. This was the tape recorder that they put on. And here's what Murphy told me about it. Let's look at it. There's the rocket on the pad. It's got a simple cone on top, okay? It's not your, this also launched the Mercury spacecraft and Ranger to the moon, Mariner to Mars, and 300 other satellites. And there it is in orbit. And here's Murphy telling me the story. Kurt Johnson was the test conductor, Murphy said. Murphy was the lead electrical engineer. And he's in his 20s, as is everybody back then. Kurt Johnson, the test conductor, took me into another room during the countdown. What I tell you is classified. One of your systems has been removed and won't work. But during launch, I want you to fake it like it's there. And that's all he told me. He didn't say what system he took away. He didn't say anything else. That was it. So at the range, I acted like everything was okay. the range controller said there was no IP impact prediction. One of the calculators that was going on. And Murphy just said, well, it's out there. Okay, as they were testing things through, Murphy just said, nope, my stuff's out there. All right. And all down the line, no one in the blockhouse knew except test conductor Kurt Johnson. Jim Harrington, bless his heart, was, I say that because he's in his 80s and I'm not sure how good his health is, but he launched some of those early shuttles for us. He was a radio systems commander, Mr. Harrington was, and he verified all this too. No one in the blockhouse knew except the test conductor. There's Eisenhower. Let's go back to what it looked like on the pad. The night before, they replaced the recorder with Eisenhower. The night before they replaced the recorder with Eisenhower on it, an Air Force guy pushed the wrong button and he thought they erased it, but they didn't. They took everything off the vehicle that was removable: flanges, cable, telemetry package, destruct package. It's the only vehicle Murphy thinks was launched without a destruct package. The panel operator told the test conductor he wasn't getting any signals, but that test conductor, Kurt Johnson, said, "Your go." And range safety hadn't seen any of the tests down in the islands, and still general range transmitters were sent to destruct. They were said to be go. Your go, period, Johnson said. And when launched, the team had no clue where this rocket was going or its purpose. Now, Eisenhower, at that time of this launch, which was at 6:02 p.m., December 18th, 1958, on Complex 11. This Atlas 10B was its number. Eisenhower was talking to the Polish ambassador and told at supper that the Atlas was just put into orbit. Unbelievably, the largest package ever in orbit at that time. The whole Atlas went into orbit. All right, that's why we're showing this here like that. He he tells the Polish ambassador that. And Eisenhower tells the Polish ambassador, who gets back to the Russians, that we have orbited an intercontinental ballistic missile that could have a warhead on it. This is the first interface to a satellite to send a signal to get a recorder to repeat itself. First time they communicate with a satellite. All right. Now, it was a very secret signal, very weak signal. Everyone was surprised but enthusiastic. To be that secret and launched without a destruct package was unheard of, because the rockets were blowing up left and right, Murphy said. So, of course, NASA founded in 1958 from the NACA, National Advisory Council on Aeronautics. And here, just 6 months later, they're launching this up. Well, Project SCORE captured the world's attention by broadcasting a Christmas message via shortwave radio from the U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower through an onboard tape recorder. So the satellite was called the Talking Atlas, Marty, and it was a geopolitical strategic move by the Eisenhower administration. They placed the United States at an even technological level with Russia that had orbited the in October 57, of course, Sputnik, and then the dog, Laika, much heavier 1,000-pound payload in November 3rd, 1957. And here we were, December 58, finally catching up, we think, with this really interesting mission that you couldn't do that today, that's for sure. You would have all kinds of bureaucratic red tape and people screaming bloody murder if they didn't see the signals on this thing out of this recorder that was put in there. So Murphy, God bless you for this great story. Okay. And there is President Eisenhower in talking about Atlas 10B right there that I hold in my hand this, and what it says is, what Mr. President said was, the first message transmitted by a communication system from outer space on December 18th, 1958 read, quote, "This is the President of the United States speaking. Through the marvels of scientific advance, my voice is coming to you from a satellite circling in outer space. My message is a simple one. Through this unique means, I convey to you and to all mankind America's wish for peace on earth and goodwill towards men everywhere." Unquote. What a simple message. What a timeless message that we echo it today, uh, decades after you've passed on, Mr. Eisenhower. And this was the Convair Engineering Launch Crew. Convair later become General Dynamics, or Marty, you'd correct me on that. Convair was General Dynamics, a division of it or something. And all these guys signed this, including the steno person on this deal here that we proudly show at the American Space Museum. And I'm always pointing that out to everybody that this is one of the actual things that Murphy Wardman got there. So wonderful story as we live on here with space history at the American Space Museum from our Cape Canaveral gallery. So, and just I see what I also had racked up here. Marty, any questions or comments?
Nope.
We've got the rest of this week on December 15th. We've got the launch of Gemini 6 to chase down Gemini 7 and take these iconic photographs where this was not intended to happen like this. Gemini 7 was on a 14-day mission, and about 11 days into it, they launched the Gemini 6 that was to go up earlier on a rendezvous mission. Its Atlas Agena blew up. The rocket we saw there blew up with the docking Agena on it, a similar rocket to the Atlas that we were talking about today. That's how all that happened, and we talked about the pad abort yesterday. That was a hairy moment. And then 3 days later, on the 15th of December, Wally Schirra and Tom Stafford are orbiting, and they're taking snapshots of each other. They went up and came right back down. Less than 8 hours in space. That's Tom on the left, I can tell. There is the 92-year-old General Stafford by the Gemini spacecraft. I think that's Gemini 9 is what that one is, that he and Gene Cernan had a experience in. And that gets me to Rocket Row that we talked about today. And in the foreground is pad 36, and then all the way down 11, 12, 13, 14, and so forth. That has changed. I'd like to see an aerial or a drone shot of this today, Marty, because right about where my head is the largest water tower in the world, and the rest of it has been leveled except the blockhouse for Jeff Bezos's launch pad. He's leasing pad 36 for the New Glenn rocket. This is going to stand over 350 feet tall. So, well, thank you, Marty. We got through it there. Little changing horses in the middle of the stream, but we hope that you all enjoyed our little program on the Christmas message that President Eisenhower gave. That will be 55 years ago. Yeah, 55 years ago coming up here. 58. Make that 65 years ago, duh. Doug Forrest, hope you enjoyed that today. Tom Usiak up there in Pennsylvania. Steve, thank you for supporting our museum. Gary Gerald's there. Dave Stange, Bill Whiting, and the Astronaut Files. He's up there in New York. We appreciate all of our friends watching us on Stay Curious. And tell your friends to stay curious with us here at the American Space Museum, as Marty and I have done over 950 episodes now. And once in a while, they might find something that piques their interest. So, Marty, tomorrow's Thursday in the middle of this couple weeks before Christmas. So we'll be talking about some astronomy, what's up in the sky that you'll be seeing Christmas week. We'll reprise all the bad weather we've been having here. And Scrubs, no, they're not going to launch the Falcon Heavy or any SpaceX Falcon 9. Doesn't even look like they'll be able to do it till Monday, because we're really getting a tropical storm that's going to soak maybe 3 or 4 inches of rain here on the Space Coast over the weekend. So come back tomorrow for some more space history and more little bit of astronomy from your backyard. Thank you, Marty, for doing a great job today. Until tomorrow, I'm Marquette saying I can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.